There is no nobility in poverty. I have been a rich man and I have been a poor man, and I choose rich every fucking time.
Welcome everybody to the Money Time Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Hernandez, and with me today, I have a good friend, a brother. You guys, this guy is beyond inspiring. I don't think he knows what an impact he's made to my life, but I'm beyond excited for today's episode. Let's welcome the one and only Mr. Alex Pena.
Thank you.
Let's go.
Let's do it.
So for those of you who don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about who you are, what's your name, where you come from, what you do.
Yeah, Alex Pena. Grew up in the same area that you did, good old Fontana, Same little league, all that stuff. We went to school together, all that good stuff, and got into business, at an early age, and Adrian likewise. So we, kind of grew up facing the same challenges, and had each other's back kind of throughout the whole way. Called each other, threw a lot of ideas back at each other. Always a good support system to have. So it was a good friend to have.
I love it. Well, it's cool. So we had your brother on last week. So you guys watched Derek Pena's video. You're probably thinking, is Derek back? No. It's his twin brother, Alex. And it's cool. They're both in the same business, but Alex has a different story. And what's cool is because Alex, how old were you when you got started?
I was always into logistics, 18, 19. But I'd say, right when I was 20, 21, that's when I pretty much put all the effort at it. So,
but prior to that, he had a huge entrepreneur spirit, right? That we'll talk about. But what was cool, guys, is I met Alex and Derek, and we talked about this with Derek, but I met Alex and Derek when I first moved. I lived in Los Angeles. We moved to the Inland Empire, and I joined the Little League, and I was fat at the time, and I was not a good baseball player. And Alex is very competitive. Are you more competitive than Derek?
I'd say we're pretty equal, but yeah.
You guys are both very competitive, right?
Absolutely.
And me, I'm out in the field picking the fucking daisies, right?
Yeah.
The flowers, and Alex wants to win the game. So I remember they were mean to me, but rightfully so. You guys wanted to win, right? So back then, I remember going back and I'm telling my mom, like, they're mean to me. And at the time, I didn't realize it, right? And then it's funny because we then become friends, and then here we are today, and we always hang out. But that was funny times.
Good times, really good times.
I really did suck, though.
Yeah, you and this kid Woody. So if Woody's out there watching and you played Fontana Little League,
hit us up, dude.
Hit us up. But yeah, you and Woody, there was always those two weak links, and unfortunately that was Adrian. But he's good at other things. Nothing
they
athletic
don't trust
related.
me throwing the ball. I asked to practice with Maddox, his son, to play baseball. I got shut down.
That's funny.
All right, so let's get into your story. So you. Talk about you at you obviously go to high school, you're in college, but you didn't really complete college. Explain that story.
Yeah. So, I'll start at high school, I guess. So, during the 4 years that I went there, I took an elective drafting, and I took a liking to it. I found a way to kind of compete within my class. We'd get these projects, and, they'd be, drawing floor plans or something, with, mechanical engineering along those lines. And, the 4 years that we're there, I, really excelled at using AutoCAD. It was this computer program. So the 4 years I built up a pretty cool portfolio, got it all together. And I kind of decided right out of high school that, that's what I wanted to go to college for. That's what I wanted to get, my career started in. And So right out of high school, I had, got my portfolio together, and I was like, you know what? I'm just going to, send it to a bunch of job listings out there and, send a resume out right out of high school. And I think, graduated in 2008, so not a lot of people were hiring at that time. And I got lucky. This company in Pomona called Stainless Fixtures, returned my call, did a sit-down interview with me, and hired me. I think at the time it was, $16 an hour, and I was pretty stoked. It was like my first full-time job. It was literally right when I got out of high school that summer. So worked there. It was awesome. They were great. It was a small family owned business, so I got to see it was a whole family, kids, husband, wife, and so that was a cool aspect of it. But during the 3-4 months that I was there working during the summer, I found out that it was something that I didn't want to do. I was super stoked. I was only doing an hour, of class,
right.
But I got there. My job was to it was called redlining. I would correct mistakes on some of the drawings. So I did that 3-4 months, and I was just sitting there in the office, waiting for the 8th hour to end. I was like, man, I don't know if I can, be in an office type setting, So it was just like, gave them my 2-week notice.
What was it that you didn't like?
Man, it was just being in an office in front of a computer, just stuck, just being stuck. It just wasn't for me. So, give my 2-week notice, go to, I'm taking college courses, all that stuff, and just the whole time when I'm there, I'm like, man, I don't know what I want to do now. That was like, what I was planning on doing, and I got a little taste of it, and I was like, man, I gotta switch something up. So, I was always doing little side hustles, there. Always,
Always. And that's something your dad and you guys would always, because I remember you used to sell like what are the frames or the mirrors?
Yeah. So I had a bunch of little side hustles. Yeah, my dad, he was a big penny saver and recycler guy. So he was always buying stuff, selling stuff. So my brother and I took off of that when Craigslist came around. I remember my dad, we used to go to the swap meet, and he used to give us like $20, to go buy whatever.
Right.
So, but the game was, we'd buy something for $20 and try to sell it for, for 40 or $50. So
that's awesome. This as a kid.
Cool. We're, I don't know, 13, 14 years old. So we'd buy stuff, put them on eBay.
Right.
Just little stuff like that. So we've always had a little, hustler kind of mindset about it. But,
for sure.
But yeah, going to college. So just, I was kind of going through the motions, taking classes, I did well, but I didn't want to, pursue that career. So, my dad had a logistics company, and I was, working for him, trained some of his drivers, kind of learning the business. I wasn't allowed to drive at the time, so I was just sitting in the passenger seat, just, kind of checking things out. So did that for a little bit, and did other little side hustles with the LED lights. If you want to tell them about that.
Well, you talk about that. How'd you get into that?
Oh man, that's a funny story.
You were selling the LED lights. Were you right at high school? You were in college at the time, right?
I might have been maybe my senior year.
Or was that right after drafting?
I think it was right after that. It's a funny story because I was on eBay selling stuff, and this guy had a bunch of LED lights, like for license plate lights and interior lighting and stuff like that, and I was like, all right, let me go check it out. He was in Ontario, so I met him, and I started selling the light bulbs. I think you buy per bulb it was like 5 cents. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was
5
super
cents
cheap.
per bulb, and we're selling them for $5.
Yeah,
$5 a bulb. So we're making some pretty decent money. Adrian started to do it.
You were making a lot of money, dude. So,
but didn't you start working with Will
with
too?
Will right after that. Well, no. So this was funny, guys. This is why you need good friends around you, right? And not only that, but good friends that are pushing the envelope forward, right? Like Alex and Derek has always pushed the envelope forward when it comes to like buying stuff, reselling it, when it comes to making money, right? Sure. Because of rightfully so, Augie, right? You got Augie. You got the number one, like when it comes to making money, it's Augie.
Yeah, no kidding.
So
sure.
It was funny because I'm lifting weights at the time, right? And I think that's the cool thing to do, right? At the time, right? I'm thinking I got to lift weights to get girls, right?
You're pretty big.
I'm at the gym. I'm lifting weights every day, right? I got no job. I got no money, but I'm lifting weights, right? I actually remember I was a trainer. And then anyways, long story short. So I'm lifting weights. And I remember one day I'm going to Alex, and Alex is like, what did you say? You said, how many weights did you lift, or how many weights did you count today, Adrian? And I'm like, I looked at him like, I don't know why. And you were like, what'd you say? You were like, well, something about like, why? Well, when you were lifting weights, I was counting my money. Or you said something like, at the time, like somebody from the outside in would have been like, that was cocky. But for me, I was like, fuck, he's right. Like, I'm over here lifting weights, and this guy's making money, and I realized I'm doing something wrong, right?
Yeah.
And so it was big because it sparked like that. Dude, I'll never forget it. I'll never forget when you said it, because I was like, fuck, I'm focusing on the wrong thing. Right. And so for all of us, like we get to the point where we're focusing on the wrong thing. And that was I just want to thank you, dude. I don't think I ever thanked you.
I don't know if I remember that, but cool.
It was such it was such a big time for me because I was like, fuck, he's right. Right.
That's
and then
cool.
And that's when I hit you up. I started buying lights, and then we started selling lights on Craigslist. But I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I had a bunch of just random little things that that we used to do for money. But so going to school, and I remember driving with my dad, and this specific day, he had called me and said that he wanted to meet up. We had a meeting in Santee over there in San Diego County with a FedEx contractor that was going. FedEx wasn't going to be renewing his contract because he was failing on, had a bunch of service failures, and wasn't picking up accounts that he needed to.
Right.
So I was like, all right, let's go check him out to, see what he has to say. So he was selling, I think, for $450,000. He wanted $450.
This for a route.
This is for a route. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it was at that time, I think 7 to 8 trucks.
Okay. That this guy has.
Yeah. 7 to 8 trucks, like five to 6 employees. So he wanted $450, and, obviously we didn't have $450,000,
Right.
that we didn't have that money. So kind of filled him out. I think he had like a month and a half to sell, or else, his contract was going to expire, and it was, no other option. So we had told him, you obviously we don't have the $450. Would you be interested in a, seller finance deal? Would you do $50,000 down, and we'll make payments for 5 years? So he said, hell no. He wants all his money up front. So we left his house. All right, cool. That's what we offered, whatever. I think like 2-3 weeks, goes by, and he hits us back up. His time was running out, and he was, all right, I'll take it. 50 down, and, the rest in payments. And we ended up getting it at $350,000.
So you came down on price, and you were able to do a seller finance.
Yeah.
So at the time, prior to you guys going to San Diego to make that drive, were you working for your dad? Were you at?
Yeah. Like I said, I was just I was training the drivers,
Okay,
so
you were just
training
training
routes, learning the business.
Okay.
Learning how to coordinate schedules, all that kind of stuff. So I already kind of had an idea what to do. I was still fresh.
Right.
Still
and what
fresh.
is that business? So it's trucking, but for those that don't know, what exactly is it?
Sure. So my trucking company, I'm a contractor with FedEx Ground. So, they pretty much supply all the accounts. You service the account. You hire your drivers. You service your own tractors, insurance, the whole deal. They just contract out the work to you.
Okay.
So, that's where we're at. So, yeah, the guy agreed, and, went down there, met the new team, and, right off the bat, purchasing another, business like that. They already have their ways of, doing things,
operating.
And, their kind of mindsets of the way that they expect things to run. And,
Right.
we let it run like that for about a month until we kind of learned what was going on and, decided to make changes. But I remember just right off the bat, I think the guy's name was Terry. He was an older guy. He was probably in his late 60s. Been with that contractor for, I think he was maybe a contractor for 10 years. Been with them quite a while with the company. And introduced myself. Man, told him I was going to be, managing. That guy quit right away. Just like that. I was like,
he was out.
Oh, shit.
So to catch you guys up. So Alex, you guys go to San Diego. You guys get this route.
Yep.
You guys aren't in San Diego at the time.
No. Yeah. So
This is your first route in San Diego.
correct. So we're at that time we're based out of Rialto.
Okay.
We're based out of Rialto, so yeah, we got that opportunity in San Diego and had to pretty much pick up everything and, bounce over there. And at that time I was 20, 21, give or take,
And you were still selling LEDs at the time.
Probably.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
So you were
probably
still,
for sure.
So you then go to San Diego. You guys get this route, seller finance, which is crazy, by the way, right? Because we talk about it in real estate, and it's so relevant in other businesses.
Yeah, and at that time I didn't even know what,
Seller finance.
financing was. I didn't even know, that term. It was just, hey, this is what I got,
So cool.
Can you do this? And yeah, it kind of worked out.
So then you were then sent to San Diego to run these routes.
Yeah.
You then go introduce yourself.
Yeah, I introduced myself to some of the drivers, and yeah, that guy Terry said, all right, I'm out of here. I'm not working. I'm like, oh, man. And then like a couple weeks later, I think another guy bounced the same way. So I'm like, because we started switching up the routes. We're used to doing, 3 to 4 runs a day. We're,
Right.
taking them way longer than what they should. So we started moving stuff around, making things more efficient. And yeah, that's where, we had the problem. But yeah, I mean, at that age, it was, it's pretty tough. Being a manager, I was also driving, so I had my Class A license. So I remember, being in that position, I was like, I already know these guys are, I already know what they're thinking.
Right.
This kid, doesn't work. He's just going to be telling us what to do. So I made it a point that I was going to outwork like every single one of them because I'm in the truck with them. I'm in the trenches with them.
Yeah, you're not just telling them what to do.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, well, I'm going to work a 12 to 14-hour day. And,
Right.
I'm not going to give them an option to, to get those extra hours. So when their, time came up and they had an extra run, I'd be like, hey, I'll do the run. You can go home. So, they kind of
Grew some respect.
grew some respect really quick. And,
Yeah.
And I'd say like 2 to 3 months of that, they got them on board, hired some new people, and, got the ball rolling on that and got operations going. Management, so dealing with FedEx management, that was, it was tough. It was, there was a manager in San Diego by the name of Steve. I really respect that guy a lot. At that age, he challenged me. As a kid at the time, he would always question like some of the decisions I was making. He would, call and double check that I knew that, hey, this account needed to be picked up at that time. Like, yeah, I know, but he'd always call me, and he challenged me at an early age where he kind of molded me to the contractor that I became, and the business owner that I became now.
So good.
Yeah, it's funny because I actually ran into him about a month ago or so, and I told him that, man. I was like, dude, you're awesome. Thank you for giving me a hard time back then. Like, yeah, it was super cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, super cool. So, just that whole San Diego experience, going into a different market and learning the way their operations run, different accounts, dealing with different, management, employees, just different challenges, right. It helped me grow. Once management with FedEx knew that, we were able to, handle more accounts, they were giving us, pretty much, hey, we got this account coming up. Do you think you could handle it?
Take them.
So at that time, I think we were dealing with, in that area, we had a bunch of big accounts like Titleist, TaylorMade, a bunch of, Callaway, all the big golf accounts were over there. So we, right. We're doing a bunch of those accounts at the time. But, yeah, good experience for sure.
When you were first starting off, and you had those people quit, and you're young, right? That can play a lot of tricks on your mind. That can, help some people. It can have them second guessing if this is something they should be doing or not, right? Like, did you ever have a mental challenge when you were first starting off and you had these people leave and some of them weren't respecting you because you were younger? What was your mindset there?
Not really, Adrian. It pissed off my ego a little bit,
Right.
But the manager where I was learning from in Rialto, my dad's manager at the time, he was also a younger guy. I think he maybe been like 5 years older than me at the time, 25, 26. And, I learned a lot from him too. His name's Tony. I learned a lot from him too. Sitting in his passenger seat for countless hours, out of the week. And I saw the struggles that, some of the drivers gave him, all the stuff that he was going through. So, I was ready for it. I learned how he handled different situations. So, when that stuff happened, I think it just gave me more fuel. So, okay, well, you don't think I could do it? Well, I'll show you.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was, being in a tractor, in a truck, driving alongside, your employees at the time. I think, you could gain respect pretty quick if you're putting in the work.
Yep.
So
keyword, putting in the work.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Putting in the work.
Yeah,
and a lot of people that I talk to and they're like, dude, I'm not getting any respect from where I'm at. And I'm like, well, are you working? Well, yeah. Well, are you the first one there? No. Are you the last one to leave? No.
Yep.
Well, how do you expect them to respect you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and that was it was huge, and that was a tough operation over there. So we had I'd say, I think we had 7, 8 trucks. I think at one time we had 9. I'd say 7 of them would run partially during the day. Let's just say 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Right. And then we had 2 to 3 trucks running graveyard from 8 at night till 6, 7 in the morning. So it was a pretty much a 24/7 operation, and man, that was tough because I would deal with all the day stuff. At night, I'd get with all the drivers, let them know what they're going to be doing, and then just praying and crossing my fingers that I didn't get a call at the middle of the night that they broke down or, they're having problems with this or that. And, so the whole operation was, was challenging. But, between myself with the operations, we had another business partner named Rudy. That guy was, pretty much one of my mentors early on. He pretty much did all the maintenance stuff, helped me out with all the trucks that needed to be serviced. Oh, wow. And then obviously having Augie, my dad, he was back in Rialto. He had his own, trucking company he was dealing with at the time. And so between us three, handled it, got stuff done, and, kind of built it up to where we eventually ended up selling him. But man, it was a struggle, man. I forgot to mention the part of the deal when we bought those trucks. The trucks that we acquired from the previous contractor, they were in terrible shape.
Right.
Terrible shape. So we had, I forget how much we were paying the guy a month, or I think it was weekly. But between the money that was going there, maintenance, it was like the profit margins were super thin. And
is that because the trucks required so much maintenance?
Yeah, the trucks were just beat up. So we're just, we're paying a bunch in maintenance, and then we had, pretty big overhead right off the bat with the amount of money that we're paying.
Right.
So, we did our best that we could, made pretty good money. I was making decent money because I was driving.
You're driving, right.
Driving the own truck. But yeah, it was challenging. It wasn't easy, that's for sure. But we got it going. Yeah. It was rolling.
Well, it was full immersion is what I'm hearing, right? You literally, it was full of, and I remember when you were in it.
Yeah.
Right? That's all you were doing.
Yeah, it was on that aspect. Yeah, it was. I mean, like I said, 21 years old, moved out to San Diego, and I didn't have like anybody out there. I didn't have any family. It was just me. So it was a good thing because it made me 100% focus on work.
Right.
I didn't have any distractions.
Nope.
Nobody to hang out with after work.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
So it would just, clock in and stay as long as you can until you get tired.
Yep.
And so that was huge. That was a huge part of my success for sure.
It's so big because I think a lot of us don't ever go full immersion in anything, and we wonder why we don't master anything, right? Or we wonder why there are other people like yourself that from, call it 19 to 25 went from nothing to a lot, right? And you wonder why, and I firmly believe it comes down to the full immersion part. There are too many people dabbling.
Sure.
Right? Like had you just dabbled, showed up every now and then, right, you would not be where you're at today. No, and I talk to so many entrepreneurs where they're just dabbling. They're dabbling. They're like, yeah, well, no, go all in,
Yeah.
and you're going to be so further ahead than everyone else. And then here's the key thing. Did you notice that Alex wasn't talking about him going full immersion in FedEx, and he was doing stocks, and he was selling real estate and solar at the same time?
No.
It's one thing.
Yeah, that's it.
Right? One thing. And you may have had a little side hustle going, but the focus was one thing.
Yeah.
So what I want to ask you is people that are younger, that get into management roles like you got into, like a big role like yourself, that may be struggling mentally, what is some advice that you have for them to help them through that? Because, you were right there on the front lines of it.
Sure. Confidence, and at the end of the day, you just have to put in the time and put in the work. I think maybe where a lot of people might struggle is that they don't want to put in that work.
Yeah.
They have that management position, and maybe they want to delegate certain tasks to other people and, not do anything themselves. And, that might be a cause of their struggle, but it's putting in the work. That's, one of the things that I found to help me out is, putting in the work, developing these systems, learning them. And then, once you got that down, then you can delegate them to other people and, grow from there.
I agree. Help us understand. So you explained how much a route costs, but what does a truck, so you guys are in San Diego, what was an average truck bringing in? What does an average truck cost to maintain?
Yeah.
What do the numbers look like that for a private contractor?
Yeah, so back then, that was in 2011 when when we purchased that, and man, those numbers back then don't even compare to what they are now. Okay. It's crazy. So, it's hard to put it from that perspective. I could talk to where we're at now.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, currently I'd say a truck, depending on how much that truck is on the road, but let's just say 5 days a week, running 50 hours a week, can make, anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000, give or take. A week. I run all local. I don't do any line haul over the road stuff. So I pretty much service Inland Empire.
What's the difference?
So what I do, it's called drop and hook. Pretty much drop and hook. I'm picking up an empty trailer, taking it to a customer's account, dropping off the empty trailer, picking up their loaded trailer, and then taking it back to the terminal.
Okay.
So a lot of shuttle work like that with all the local warehouses. So line haul, typically they'll take loaded trailers and then they'll go over the road to Texas, Nevada, Arizona, line haul work like that. So, I think we're average, 300 miles a day per truck. So like I said, 50 hours, like a 50-hour work week, it could be more, anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000. And, depending on the distance of the account and all that good stuff. But, minus $500-600 in fuel will, with fuel prices right now, can escalate a little quick. But
what about last year? What was your fuel bill last year? I remember asking.
I know it was up by like 35%. I think we spent like almost like $500,000 in
just fuel.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was a lot. But
so you have so they bring about 4,000 to 5,000. You have the fuel, and then is maintenance pretty deep on
Depends. It depends. Like, man,
it varies.
It varies, man. The trucks can have a solid 2-3 months where you're just doing basic maintenance, your oil changes, fluid change, all that good stuff. And then you could have a, huge failure with your transmission or, you need an engine rebuild. And, it doesn't come up often, but it's definitely part of the game. So it's really hard to put a,
exact number to it.
Yeah, it's really hard to put a number on it. But, I mean, as far as I like to stay within like a fifth with your payroll, with your insurance, all that stuff. Out of that I try to stay between 20 and 30% on profit per
margins.
truck. Yeah,
that's strong.
Yeah. So, but the maintenance does kill you when and I'm sure people that are in the trucking industry, not only FedEx, what I'm in, but with the other areas, they have the same issues. They'll have solid weeks, and then they'll have an invoice of $5,000 to $6,000 or plus $10,000. They have to do an engine rebuild, and their profits are smoked.
Right.
Like that. And it happens. And that's, something that, as a company, we prepare for. We put, money aside for maintenance, all that good stuff.
Right. Prepare for it.
Yep.
That's good. I love that. So you're in San Diego. You're working. How did you go from San Diego back to Rialto?
Back to Rialto. Okay. So a little bit of a story there. So at that time, the California Air Resource Board, they do like smogs and all that good stuff. They had a new law where you had a new law with emissions for big rigs where you had to pretty much either buy new tractors with the DPF systems.
Oh, shoot.
Because that's when DPF systems had came out. I think they came out in like 2008. And
is that DEF?
yeah, so no, DPF is like the filter, and then DEF came out and like later on to supplement the DPF like in 2012. But same type of emissions deal. That was like their first thing that they did. And we pretty much had to update all of our trucks. All our trucks were, 2007 and below. So we had like 9 trucks to replace.
Oh, shoot.
And we're like, man, we're already barely scooting by. We're making decent money, but to get a whole new fleet,
what does each truck cost?
Depends, anywhere from 50, 70 grand.
And you got to replace how many of them?
9.
Oh, shit.
So we're like, dang, we still owe this guy, money. And, we're making money, but, not a lot.
Yeah, not
so like,
9
man,
trucks.
we gotta think about what we gotta do here. And a blessing in disguise, my girlfriend at the time, Jessica.
Yeah.
She ended up getting pregnant. So I'm like, all right, cool. Well, time to come home. So it kind of worked out. So we put up the business for sale. We got an offer, I think at $650. So at $650. We called the guy that I don't forget how much we owed him at the time, but like, hey, we didn't tell him we sold it, but we're like, hey, we're going to be coming up on this chunk of cash. Would you take, I think we might have owed him maybe like $250 or something at the time. And I was like, hey, would you take $150, up front right now? So he said, yeah, paid him off, between us three, the partners right there, split all the profit.
That's awesome.
Sold away, and then so that's how we got out of San Diego.
How many years were you in San Diego?
3.
You bought it for how much?
We bought it for $350.
Sold it for
$650.
And you came in as a equity, or as like your equity stake was sweat equity. You need to go run it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This is so good. So I talk about this all the time. You have 2 ways to build a business.
I gave $10,000. The $10,000 that I had.
Okay.
Yep.
Hey, that's still
Hell
right.
yeah.
But I talk about like you have sweat equity or you have equity,
Sure.
right, to build the business,
Yeah.
right? And when you're young, I always tell everybody, go out and go work. Like,
Sure.
go get your hand. You don't have money to give them, so go put in the work. And it'll pay off. And that's like, dude, that's a phenomenal story to that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Hell yeah.
So we
turned
sold
10 grand into whatever you turned it into.
Yeah, so we sold, and
I'm pumped right now. I love hearing that.
sold, had a good chunk of cash. Forget the exact numbers, but bought my first house. You helped me out with getting my first house.
At like the perfect time.
Perfect time. It was, I don't know what we bought it for, like $330 or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, bought the house, and then I was like, dang, what now? I, went from being, had a partnership in that business down here, and I'm pretty much starting fresh. I'm 23, 24 at the time, brand new baby. Yeah, brand new baby, and that, I think that's what like really woke me up to, I've always hustled before, and I've always, got after it, but at some point I was still kind of living for the weekend, maybe a little bit,
Right.
I wasn't 100% focused. I'd say I was like 85, give or take,
But you're also 21?
Yeah, 21 to 23, yeah, so it was, yeah, for sure. And brand new baby, and so when we sold, I was back working for my dad's company. He was like, what are your plans? And I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna be working for you, until I find something to buy. He was like, I'll sell you some accounts. I'm like, all right. So all the money that I got went back to him. So I freaking bought like three trucks from him.
That's awesome.
Bought 2 trucks, and then pretty much started fresh. And I think that was, one thing that I think, like, people say don't do business with family, and I've seen the horror stories, heard them, all that good stuff, and I'm sure that my dad heard those too. And one thing that I really respect from him is that he pretty much said, like, hey, we're in the same business, but like he was never, like, he pretty much told me to go do my own thing, that he didn't want me working for him. So
right.
which was super cool, because today, yeah, we have our different entities or different corporations, and we still work together.
Right.
We still, if I have a driver that calls off, I give pretty much all the work to him, vice versa. Same thing with my brothers.
Right.
He pretty much said, give me I forget what I gave him. I think it was like 200 or something like that. I was like, damn.
He pretty much said, you ain't working for me.
I said, damn, I just had this 200. There it goes. So yeah, I started fresh and just built that up.
Awesome.
Same thing that we did in that I learned from San Diego. Started hiring, working, and like I said, being 23-year-old dad. Man, it was pretty nerve-wracking. A lot of uncertainty, and it was just like, all right, I gotta provide now. It's not me. It's not just me anymore. It's the wife,
For sure.
it's the kid, brand new house. So it was
mortgage.
Oh man, things change up real quick for sure. So yeah, but yeah, man, it was like I said, it was a blessing, man. It just fired up something in me that I didn't know I had.
Yeah.
And we went after it, built it up, and I think, I had I think within like, I don't know, three years, I had got it up to like 10, 12 trucks, give or take. And, built up a nice little operation. And then I got that other opportunity up in Tracy.
So I just want to come back a little bit. Super cool, guys. Alex is when did you buy the North Fontana house? When you moved back?
2013.
So 2013. Alex is the only one out of all of our friends that owns his own house.
Yeah.
He's the only one, like half of us are still living with our mom and dads, right?
Yeah.
But it's super cool because just the transition from that, and how he took the money and reinvested it back into the business, when so many people would have took that money and went on a vacation and bought some dumb shit,
For sure.
right? But you knew, right? And do you think that was because of Mad Dog? Do you think that's because Maddox was in the picture, or just a part of it?
Yeah, definitely a part of it. Yeah, just having a brand new family and just being like, all right, well, I got to have a home base, got to have a home, and I got. I'm pretty much starting all over again, so I need to reinvest, back into, another business like I had, previously started, and going through those challenges at a young age like that up in San Diego, I was like, man, this is cake, I can for sure do this again. So the family was definitely a big part of of my success, I think, for sure.
I love that.
And I got to give credit to my wife. She's awesome. She let me go do that stuff, Yeah. I was out like almost like 16 hours a day sometimes just getting after it, you know?
Which is so important to have the right spouse, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because had she been like, no, you need to be home,
Yeah.
right? That would have been hard. That would have been challenging.
No, yeah, for sure. I thank her all the time for that, even to this day.
That's cool.
You know, with all the stuff going on, we still always out and about getting stuff done and never questions anything I do, so pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool. I love the that other day, the sandwich, that heart sandwich, dude. That shit was hilarious. We've all, I don't know, for those of you that don't know, we're all friends. Like, we've all been friends for God knows how many years.
High school, all that good
So
stuff.
it's just so cool to see it all happen. All right, so Heather Routes, your Maddox is here, right? How did you go from buying the couple of routes from your dad to getting to where you're at today?
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, we built that Rialto operation up, and, you know, mind you, this whole time, you know, it's a small business. You know, we have, you know, 6 to 8 employees, me being one of them, wife doing payroll, you know, HR stuff. Like, we're not to where we are today. We weren't back then.
Yeah, you were still operating.
Yeah, we're still, you know, still small family business, and you know, I remember talking to you. Actually, we were golfing. And at that time, I was the manager of the operations. I always had been for, I think, like 7, 8 years that I was in business. It was, all the responsibility was on me. All the dispatching, talking to the managers, that was on me. I wanted that responsibility to be on me.
Right.
And I think it, you know, it hindered me a little bit because I stopped growing. I'd say for a year, year and a half, I was just kind of stagnant, you know, at the 10 or 11 trucks that I had at the time. I was like, man, this is a lot for me. Like, I need to find help.
Right.
And I remember talking to you about that. I was like, man, I don't want to give that responsibility to anybody else. And you're like, no, you have to. Sometimes they could do a better job than you. And I was like, I couldn't see that. I was like, there's no way, dude.
Right.
There's no way anybody could do a better job than me.
Yeah.
And so I kind of got forced into that, to making that decision, because another opportunity arose in Northern California, in Tracy, San Jose, that whole Bay Area market at the time. They had just opened up a brand new terminal over there, and they needed contractors to help. And this is during peak season, you know, during the holiday season. And they had hit us up, and, you know, we're like, let's, you know, we'll go up there and try it out. So I remember calling, you know, Jess, my wife, like, hey, got this opportunity to go over there. You know, at that time I had 2 kids. I think Maddox was 3 and Jolene was 2 or something. They're 15 months apart. And I was like, I'm gonna have to go over there for like 2 to 3 months. I'm gonna help out during peak, see what I could get into over there. And, you know, it was during the holidays, and, you know, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough, man. And anyways, the operations that I had in Rialto, I had, you know, Griffin. You know Griffin.
Yeah.
He was, you know, I saw potential in him. I was like, man, I talked to him. I was like, hey, I have this opportunity to go down there. I think I told him, I was like, you want to go over there, or do you want me to go? He was like, I'll stay and manage down here. So I was like, all right, cool. So gave the keys to Griffin, and he killed it, man. He took over that operation, did all the dispatching. He was doing almost a better job than I was doing, you know.
Right.
So he did that, and that gave me the opportunity to go over there to Tracy and, you know, and put in that work. And at that time too, the routes that we were doing over there in Northern California, they were, you know, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Oh shit.
So it was tough. It was tough, you know, tough on my operations over here in Southern California, because I didn't know, you know, what was going on. But
Right.
I'd call, check in, see how the day went, you know, and then work, and then go to bed, you know, at 7 a.m. Hey, how's everything going? You guys, you know, doing anything?
Shit.
So it was tough. I didn't have, you know.
You had Rialto running the day, and
Yeah.
you're in
Yeah.
Northern California running the night.
Yeah, so,
Did you sleep?
Man, hardly. And then I've never worked those hours before, you know, those graveyard
Right.
hours. It was tough. So yeah, oh man, it was pretty tough. So we did that, you know, 2-3 months. We ran those routes, learned them, and then, you know, doing those routes, you're in the office talking to like the you know, the coordinators, the FedEx coordinators. They're the one that give you the whatever your next dispatch is.
Right.
You know, and they took a liking to us, and, you know, they were pretty much like, hey, they started giving us more work, and we're like, dang, man, this is like kind of growing pretty quick. So started hiring, get, 2 trucks, went to 4 trucks. And we're like, man. So I was like, man, this isn't going to stop. They keep giving us work.
Right.
And, at that time, there was another contractor over there that was kind of a absentee owner, I guess you can say. And, he had his managers doing pretty much what we were doing. And, those managers didn't care about that business. Right. They didn't care. So they knew that we were in town helping out with work. And those managers saw an opportunity for them to kind of kick back a little bit. So like, hey, do you want this extra run so I can go home early?
Right.
So they were giving us work. So not only were we getting work from, FedEx, the terminal, the other contractor was, their manager were giving us work, and then they started to have service failures, and then, we started to get their account. So, man, it blew up, within, I'd say, a year of us being in there, we pretty much took control and,
That's awesome.
of pretty much all the accounts that were there. So,
right.
I remember calling Jess, like, hey, we're growing a lot over there. Like, I don't see us like coming back, anytime soon. So I was like, we're gonna have to get an apartment down there.
Yeah, I remember that.
So she was like, what the heck? We got this brand new house. We got like 2 kids over here,
Right.
So
and you had just bought another house. You had sold that first house, bought another house in Rancho.
No, I still had the Fontana
still had
house.
the Fontana
I was still in
house.
Fontana. So
Okay.
I told her, I was like, hey, leave the house, and I'm gonna get this apartment for a year lease, and let's just write it out for a year. I want everybody to be here.
Right.
And so she moved over there. I think she lasted like 3 or 4 months.
She was out there for that long?
Yeah, she
I don't remember that.
Yeah, 3 or 4 months.
That's crazy.
And then she gets pregnant again, and then she's like, all right, time to go home.
That's right. That's right.
She was like, I'm not staying in Tracy. So she dipped out. So she left. And then, stayed over there in Tracy. And, we were growing. So I just kept hiring, man. Just kept hiring. We were doing good. And, I eventually, that lease expired. It was kind of cool because I was like, all right, I can afford, my mortgage over here, and I was, leasing this. I was like, all right, maybe, it's time to get another spot. So anyways, moved back, had the operations go over there, had a good manager, Jeff, that's still over there right now. So he was running the show. I was pretty much taking all the calls, helping him out. And then I would go over there like every other week. I'd go for a week, work for a week, fly back home, work a week in Rialto, I'd be constantly just flying back for, 3 years. And,
oh, wow.
To this day, that operation over there, going over there, has pretty much grew way faster I think we're there for 5-6 years now, way faster, and grew way bigger than my operations over here in Rialto. So, yeah, just the risk, or just going for it in, the San Diego situation to another market. I didn't know how that was going to turn out. To go into Tracy. It's all like, benefited me, pretty well. So, yeah, but yeah, not being afraid to take the risk, and, also, having a good support system, with the wife, and, trusting me to go out there and, build all that stuff. It was huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. To this day, it's huge. Yeah.
No, it's inspiring. It's inspiring. I saw a quote. It said something about I'll remember it. But dude, it's such a massive story how that happened, and the sacrifice that you made from not just San Diego but Tracy, right? I know what the quote says. Men do badass shit when they have women who believe in them.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right?
I love that.
And men do badass shit when you have women that believe in them. And she believed in you, right? I mean, think about the sacrifice to go to Tracy, to spend the time there, right? The sacrifice to let you go to San Diego to do what you, honestly, let you, but for you to go to San Diego and you do what you have to do. You guys, we had the Loonies on, and they said, pick your hard, right? We need to pick our hard, because either way it's going to be hard, right? But there's a sacrifice, and it's the sacrifice to go out and do what you did, or the sacrifice to not, and you're going to probably complain about the life you have.
No, for sure. Yeah, it was tough, man. It was not easy. It was not easy.
That's inspiring.
Especially having little kids at home. Not the greatest feeling, not being able to, tuck them into bed and all that good stuff. Yeah, it was tough, but to this day, I thank God that was like one of the best decisions I ever did going out there. Yeah, that business has blown up for sure.
And how much has it stretched you personally?
As far as what?
Personal development, just
Oh,
you being a
man.
better, just overall.
Man, I think that pretty much made me, man. I feel like
That's
after that Tracy, that whole deal, that thing, I feel like, all right, I could do anything now. Like,
Hell yeah.
I got that operation going, built that up, got good managers, got a good team, and it pretty much made me, man. It was awesome, cool experience. Still doing it too. We're still over there.
That right there is priceless. You guys still have Tracy going? You
Yep.
plan to keep it?
Oh, absolutely, for sure.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So how many trucks are you at total now with Tracy and Rialto? Where are you at?
Yeah, we're at 25 tractors. We do like 30, 35 employees, give or take.
So sick,
Yeah.
dude. Let's go.
Yeah, it's but man, it's like I kind of mentioned a little bit before, taking that next step and having operations managers. Before, like, it was just myself,
Right.
and there is absolutely no way that I could run this big of an operation by myself. Impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. And it
You need people.
yeah, for you kind of, putting that in my mind kind of made me think about it, and then just doing it. And then, to this day right now, like, my team is freaking pretty badass.
Yeah.
I got, some good heads with some of my managers,
Johnny.
accounting.
Yeah.
Johnny, he manages my SoCal area. Jeff and another Alex, they manage my NorCal. Justin does, the accounting and a bunch of other stuff. And man, it's between, everybody, we do pretty well. We got a pretty good team right now.
So good, dude.
For sure.
So good for you to see that, a lot of people, we want to make that decision. We want to make that hire, but we're so caught on to that operation, right? Like you said,
Yeah.
no one can do it better than me. And so many of us are caught on to that.
Yeah.
Amazing things happen when we let go.
Oh man, for sure. Like, kind of looking at the other contractors, because, I'm not, the only contractor with FedEx. There's,
Right.
over 100 of them. And kind of in the work area, we're kind of I specify, and I think there's 20 of us. And, I see some contractors that have just flatlined at, they don't grow. They're just content with what they have.
Mm-hmm.
They're still, in a truck driving, all that stuff. And I'm like, man, I'm glad I didn't do that.
Yeah. Well, they're still holding on.
Yeah.
We see it in the business every day.
Yeah.
Right. I have so many people ask, Adrian, why are there so many realtors that don't make any business, don't make any money, they don't do any business, and you have these other people, and there's only a fraction of them.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough. I see that all the time.
Can't let go.
Man, I'll be driving my personal truck kind of around, the area where we do our work, and I'll, see a business owner driving, I'm like, oof, I remember those days, but I'm like,
They're still
man.
stuck in it.
Yeah.
That's good. It's not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent, but those most adaptive to change.
Yes, sir.
From your favorite person,
Charles Darwin, baby. Love it.
So I love it, dude. Inspired story. You go from no trucks to 25 trucks. You have massive operations. You're still super young, man. What the heck is next?
Man, well, I've, pretty much got this logistics kind of stuff. I mean, it's still growing.
Oh, yeah.
We're still growing. We're still focused on that. But now I think it's, since we got, a good team, we've got into real estate. We've kind of leveraged the logistics industry that we're in. And we bought some properties, my brother and I, in that general area where FedEx is at. So, you got to think, FedEx Ground has just at that terminal probably 200-300 contractors, and out of the 200-300 contractors, let's just say they got at least 5 vehicles each. There's a lot of truck maintenance and a lot of money that those vehicles are going to be
storage,
storage, all that good stuff. Right. So kind of in this, I call it like the little golden triangle of this, Bloomington area that we're in. Oh yeah, sorry. edit that out. Yeah. but I'll find it first. So
The first one to it.
yeah, so we kind of buying this area, and they're all on acre properties, house, yard, we rent out to, we have our mechanics there, all that good stuff. So got into that industry, and the plan is just to just buy more properties like that and keep growing in that area too.
They say if you want to get richy, you got to get nichey. And you guys, you like that?
Yeah.
You guys got nichey with you guys got a niche with your properties. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, for sure.
If you look at the houses you guys buy, your average investor will say no deal, right?
Oh, for
They
sure.
say no deal.
Absolutely
But they
not.
don't realize what a unique property you guys have. And a lot of people don't realize this. Real estate isn't just in the house that you rent. You also have the lot. Like, you guys are taking advantage. Like, how many different income streams does one lot bring in? You have the house.
Yep.
And then,
Well, if you do, I think the best example I can give is a property that my dad had purchased. I'll use this one because this one's it doesn't happen all the time, and it's a home run that he had hit. So bought this property, 5 acres, right in this area that I'm telling you about, and there's next to the 5 acres there's 20 acres, and it's planned for a commercial warehouse. So it's they need his land. So anyways, on his land, it's residential, but it's on the verge of going over to commercial. So the house, the 5 acre the house on the 5 acres, it's house, and then he put up huge like freaking carports, and he started subleasing them to different different tenants there. I'd say like I think he had a guy building trailers, like flatbed trailers, and mechanic and this and that. So I think between everything, he was making almost like 22 grand in a month
on one
of rent.
house.
Yeah, on one house. And he bought it. Oh yeah, he bought it for like 550 grand. So he did that. Yeah, he was killing it. I'm like, man, this
550
guy.
to 200 grand. That isn't even.
Man.
That's the number's infinite.
It's crazy.
Infinite if you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, not exactly legal, but he was doing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's doing good. I'm like, man, how the hell does this guy just keep freaking finding these things?
Right.
And if you know Augie, he's freaking constantly getting into something.
Always.
So anyways, he does that, I don't know, 3-4 years, and somebody knocks on his door, hey, you want to buy, and he ends up selling it for pretty
A lot.
I don't even know if I want to say that.
Yeah,
number,
no, it's not disclosed.
Yeah,
Just a lot.
he made out well. So, anyways, but yeah, that's the type of properties that we like to look for that nobody's really checking out, and yeah, pretty much all next to commercial warehouses.
I know a lot of projects. I know a lot of people that have made a lot of money flipping. I've never known that scenario. That scenario is like, dude,
Crazy, huh?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy. But it goes back to that's a niche. It's a specific niche that you guys are in.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
And it's so unique. How do you plan on growing that? Do you see yourself owning, multiple different, like hundreds of rental properties?
Yeah.
How do you see your investment portfolio folding out moving forward?
Yeah, so right now I think we're at 3. We just closed on one maybe a month ago on 2 acres, kind of in that same area I'm talking about. So
Right.
we're rehabbing that up right now. It should be done in the next month or so. And talking to yourself, and I was talking to you to Eddie Salinas as well, kind of steering me to do some ADUs in there. So that's an option on the table.
Right.
So yeah, just land. So
I think you guys have a huge niche in yourself, though, dude. Like,
Yeah.
I think the ADU is big, but I think what you guys do is even bigger.
yeah, well, there's still room. There's we could do.
You could do both.
Yeah, we could do both for sure.
Is that what Eddie was saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying do both. So yeah, but like that, looking at different properties to purchase. We have another one on a half acre, one in Fontana as well. So
I love it.
trying to get into that.
Do you plan on growing the logistics space more? Do you plan on? I mean, do you have like a goal to get to 100 trucks? Is that something that's?
You know
there,
what,
or-
man? At one time I did have that goal. 50 trucks, 100 trucks, and I'm not saying that I don't want to grow anymore, but I'd definitely like to hit maybe 40, 50, and it's work for sure.
Yeah.
Not that I'm scared of the work, but now the team that I have right now, it's good for my operations. Like, we got to take that next step, and I think let me kind of rephrase that. I'd like to grow in a different market now. I kind
like
of
that.
I'm kind of cool with what we, the areas that we have.
Yeah.
But I'd like to get a separate operation.
That's cool.
I'd like to get a separate operation going for sure. Maybe out of state somewhere for Arizona.
Yep.
Somewhere.
Forward thinking. I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I love it. So what's some advice from people listening in? Maybe they want to get into logistics, or maybe they, they're young and they know they should be going in on all in on something, but
yeah.
There's just that fear of being young like you were. I mean, what are some parting words? Some, just some good things that the audience can take away.
Sure. Yeah. So, all logistics companies are different. I pretty well educated in, the area that I'm in, but there's, flatbedding, bunch of different type of trucking companies. So whatever, field that you're getting in, learn it. Maybe work for somebody for a year, 2 years, understand the business, know how it runs, get familiar with the equipment, with the tractors, with maintenance, how much this costs. There's a lot of people that kind of see, what we're doing, and they may think it's easy, and they'll go and buy a $100,000 and $150,000 truck right off the bat, like boom, brand new truck.
Right.
I'm ready to roll, and when their runs stop coming in, they got a huge note and no work. So definitely learning, making sure you have, if you're dealing with a broker, make sure that broker is going to be keeping you busy. But yeah, definitely learning the business before going into it. Insurance, your workman's comp. There's a lot of companies, 1099 drivers, and you got to do that when you first start off to, kind of make ends meet. But
right.
Yeah, man, just learning. You gotta learn yourself before you throw yourself in there full time.
I love it. And the next question I have for you is, you've inspired me to. I was like all work at one point, and one thing that I've always admired about you and your family and your dad, like you guys always go out and do like dope shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I mean dope shit. I mean like dope shit. Like Alex has a badass boat. Like, just so you know, like
it's all right.
Alex, like, and I didn't have a boat. Like, well, my dad kind of planted a little boating seed in me, not too much. It wasn't until I hung out with you and your dad and your brother that I was like, oh, dude, I love this shit, right? So, but like you guys do dope shit, right? Let's talk about that. You don't just work all the time. Like, you also enjoy the fruits of your labor. You enjoy.
Yeah, for sure.
Time. You guys have rad vacations. You guys do a bunch of, cool stuff. Talk about how you it's not even a balance, just how you've mixed the two.
Yeah, so, growing up from, I don't know, when we were kids, 5, 6 years old, my parents always took us to the river. We did the whole river scene, off-roading, Glamis, all that good stuff. And that was like one of my, favorite things to do as a kid. Like that. I think back and think of all the trips that we did, and we had a blast. So, we having kids now, I want them to, experience it. And I still have a blast doing it. My parents still go. So, it's awesome going on the river. And then, my brother has his family, his kids, my kids, everybody's playing, we got friends that go, family still goes. It's, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then the boats and all that stuff, that's just a plus.
For sure. But what about those that are like all stuck in work and they're like, but Alex, I got to save all my money. I don't have time to go to the river.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword. I get it. These toys are, they're expensive.
Yeah.
They really don't do much. I mean, it's a lot to maintain, all that good stuff. All the horror stories you hear about boats. So, I get it. You got to have your fun, but, I think you got to wait until, I guess it just depends on the individual. You got to wait until that you're ready to do that kind of stuff and spend that type of money on stuff. I mean, when I was younger, during when I was 21 to I think I was 28 when I bought my first boat, or any of the other liabilities.
Razors, right.
I didn't have anything. I would just, hey, Dad, Mom, you guys going to the lake or the river? Can I cruise with you?
Right.
So
you're putting in the work.
Yeah, putting in the work, and when I had enough money to buy that stuff cash and not having to freaking finance them, and making sure that
keyword.
Yeah, Fred, don't take a 10-year loan out on your boat, or 20 or 30, whatever.
On a $700,000 boat.
Whatever you guys are doing. Yeah, but that's yeah, just being, having fun. If you're working hard, have fun for sure. And then, yeah, like I said, for me, it's like it's an awesome family experience, like river, Glamis, all that stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a good time.
I wanted you to talk about it because you're very successful and you still enjoy your life.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of other successful people that don't enjoy their lives, right?
Yeah.
And as our buddy Floyd says, they ain't a hearse behind you when you're in that casket, baby.
That's true.
So you might as well, right? But as you said, within means, right? Don't go get yourself over leveraged. Don't go do something stupid. And if anything, for those of you that are listening, like, we all like to do fun stuff, but when Alex got paid when he first sold that route, he didn't go do. He could have went and bought a boat. He could have went and bought a sand. He could have went and bought all the stuff he liked, but there were sacrifices. Instead, he put it back into the business, and he knew that when that time comes, no loan, right?
Yeah, for sure. And
It's big. It's so big.
You know what? And kind of touching on that kind of brought up something to me. So yeah, I was I was making decent money, in my early 20s all the way up to my 30s, and I had a good chunk of cash that I could have went out and bought boats, but I was growing so much that I needed vehicles to purchase 2 new rigs.
Right.
And I was like, all right, well, I could finance, for 5 years, have like, $1,000, $2,000 payment on these trucks, or I could, spend 50 grand, pay it off, and then just, I don't have a note and I'm making, cash profit right away. And that's what I did for, I'm still doing it right now. I, just buy any cash that I have, just buying vehicles, buying trucks. It's
awesome.
More rigs. But yeah, I could have easily, stacked up all that stuff. Like, I'm cool with the 4 or 5 trucks I got. I'm going to go buy, a boat or, some toys or whatever it is. But yeah, I think, I bought my first little sleek craft boat.
Yep. 25
grand.
Yep.
Had that for, 4 or 5 years, and then went up from there.
Yeah. But it's just so cool, dude.
Yeah.
It's so you look at take that money, you're going to go buy, and I'm assuming this also came from your dad too, but you take the money, you go buy the truck cash. There is no loans. So many people I know have so much debt because of loans, because of credit cards. Your dad has more. Pretty much everything he owns is.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have much debt or he's not over leveraged or leveraged to the. Right?
He does. No, you're absolutely right. He's, doesn't have overhead on, a lot of his vehicle. All his rigs are pretty much, paid off. There's 2 sides of thinking with that,
Yeah.
You got one person on one hand that doesn't want any debt, and, one person on the other hand that, wants to finance and, leverage the bank's money, all that good stuff. And I get it both ways, to each his own. Man,
after learning a lot, I'd rather go the way that
it
owned
worked
outright, Roy.
Yeah, I think in my business, having buying the tractors, outright and not knowing that you don't have a payment on them, keeping the overhead low, having that money for maintenance or whatever, has helped me out big time.
Huge.
And mind you, like my trucks, like there's some trucking companies out there that, man, they'll have $150,000 trucks, badass trucks.
Over leverage.
Sweet. You could like eat on those damn things.
Right.
Have them cleaned. My trucks are good running trucks, good engines. They may not look the best, but they're rolling.
They make money
every day. So yeah, there's 2, but yeah, just try to keep the overhead low, save up for maintenance, all that good stuff, and keep it rolling like that. Keep the profits juiced up.
Huge, especially now, guys. There's things are going to change, as you guys know, over the next 2 to 3 years, right? And it's important that you're do not be over leveraged. When you look at it, leverage is what it could help you, but it could also bite you in the ass.
Sure.
Right. And now if you're borrowing money at 1-2%, okay. Yeah. Right. Have you seen that meme? There's like the king looking down on everybody, and he goes, when you locked in a 2.5% interest rate, looking down on everybody. That's you. Love it. That's you, huh?
Oh, I did. 2.8. 2.8.
When you're borrowing money super cheap, it makes sense. But when you go get a loan for a truck or a boat and your interest is 15, 17, 20%, that makes 0 sense. Right. And so what I think a lot of us have to look at is what is the cost of our future decisions compared to what is our cost of our current decisions compared to our future vision? Right? What's the cost of our current decisions compared to our future vision? If we make the wrong decisions now, that future vision will never come into play. Had you made that wrong decision with that route,
oh man,
wouldn't be talking today.
Man, imagine. Yeah.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Dude, I love it. Well, this was fun. For people that want to get a hold of you, you guys, you want to definitely follow him. He has some dope shit. He's always posting, where he's going. But how do they find you on Instagram?
I don't even know my Instagram. I think it's Alex.Pena _
So much he cares
like
about
that.
it.
Yeah,
Just go to Alex Pena. You'll find him.
I'm not that interesting, but
Find him, follow him, let him know, about the episode. Share something nice with him.
all right.
Bother him.
Had a blast, man. Thank
I love
you.
it, dude. This was so cool. You guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you aren't doing so already, hit that subscribe button.